Eventually, we turned off the highway onto Middle Harbor Road. The abandoned outskirts of the city sprawled out before us. The familiar skyline of downtown Oakland loomed ahead, the Tribune Tower's faded Art Deco silhouette a shadow of its former self. The Port District's massive cranes were still standing, like giant skeletons against the sky, while graffiti-covered shipping containers and derelict warehouses with shattered windows lined our path through the urban decay, a once bustling maritime hub now left to fend for itself. A large plume of smoke billowed on the horizon, rising ominously from the city center somewhere near Lake Merritt, and I thought about how the power grid was notoriously unreliable. Then I thought about how the unreliable power grid forced the 1%ers to rely on external energy sources, while the other 99% of New Californians were left to figure out how to survive on their own. As we neared the orange glow of the fire, I could see flames licking at a giant billboard. The oversized sign's message, quote, "Say no to Antifa, say no to extremism, say yes to empathy." Gravity Darker for President of the UBSWE was being consumed by the blaze. Below it, artistic red graffiti defiantly proclaimed, "Postmodernism is greater than God." The sight of the graffiti triggered in me memories of the public Bible burnings that had become a staple of life in the UBSWE before I defected east. I closed my eyes and recalled how they used to broadcast them nightly, always with the tagline, "Live from the Tenderloin," though that was actually in San Francisco, not Oakland. The conflation of the two cities was deliberate, all part of an effort to present a united, unified front of NorCal New Californians as they came to be known in those early days. Those book burnings had been powerful propaganda tools during the war, demonstrating Antifa's intolerance for opposing viewpoints. Both Old and New Testament Bibles were targeted, each one perceived as a threat to the new progressive order. The NorCal New Californians had been particularly militant in promoting their atheism, viewing most religions, with the exception of radical Islam of course, as incompatible with their progressive ideology and a tool of oppression used by the former ruling classes. Years later, the scars of that ideological purge were still visible everywhere. Thankfully, the empty buildings and crumbling infrastructure that we were forced to pass through along the city's outskirts were eventually replaced by rolling hills, and the air became crisper and fresher the further and further we drove away from Oakland and San Francisco. After a while, it was all wide open spaces, the road and landscape having shifted dramatically before our eyes, and a few hours later we found ourselves out in the countryside, surrounded by giant redwoods, vast stretches of farmland, and after that, remote, untouched wilderness. The tranquility far away from the city was surreal, and offered a stark contrast to where we had been prior. The remote wilderness provided us a sense of peace and solitude, the first we'd felt in a long time. It was a welcome respite from the chaos that we had escaped coming out of large cities. During the war, urban centers like Los Angeles and San Francisco had been hotspots for Antifa guards and revolutionary activities, while rural areas, like the ones through which we were now driving, had been more isolated from the intense political upheaval. This pandemic was no different. Just substitute in an infectious disease for the violent political persecution, which was fine by me since the lower population density of the countryside meant fewer chances of coming into contact with the virus. Being out here in nature, far away from Judith's cloistered gated community of 1%ers, provided us both with a fresh feeling of safety and control. I felt like we could finally breathe again without fear, and for the first time in weeks we both felt something close to peace.